They were talking about a fantastic female mythological creature that is part possibly mermaid, snake, dragon. She's powerful and awesome, and her name is Melusine. Melusine is French, but she's present all over Western European culture. And she might be where the Starbucks logo came from, because often she's depicted as a two-tailed serpent woman. A couple of earlier serpent women in mythology that must be mentioned are Lamia. In Greek mythology, she was a child-eating monster who started out as a human. She was a beautiful Libyan queen who, like many mortal women, had sex with Zeus, and Hera, in a rage, murdered all the children she had with him, because it was multiple children. This drove Lamia crazy and made her go out and kill and devour other people's children. Either because of her cannibalism or because of her anguish, she gets transformed into a horrific creature that's part snake, and she's also able to just take her eyeballs out and reinsert them as she wishes. Zeus gave her that power as a gift because Hera had also cursed her with insomnia, so she couldn't close her eyes and sleep, so she could just take them out. And also Zeus gave her the gift of prophecy, which has to do with eyeballs. And there's another snake woman in Greek mythology named Echidna, like the creature, like Knuckles. She was a monster who's half woman, half snake, lived alone in a cave. I could not find any definitive answers about how the animal Echidna came to be named after her. Most people are supposing it's because it looks like it's got reptilian and mammal parts like she does. She gave birth to a lot of Greek monsters, including Cerberus. In some stories, she's hideous, but in a lot, she's really beautiful and seductive. Victorian painters loved painting women who were Lamia. This is supposed to be snakeskin here. Or seductive echidna-like creatures. Also, again, this is supposed to be snakeskin. Both of these are John William Waterhouse. And as you'll see when we get into Melusine, is that artists also love depicting snake-like or mermaid women, mostly because they can get away with making them naked. Like this. So let's talk about Melusine. The earliest written account of her story is from 1382 by someone named Jean d'Arras, which was a French author living either in northern France or also in England. His story got translated into German and Middle English and became a very popular Western European story. So it starts with a king, who's the peepin' Tom here, he's gonna be peeping later. He's actually the king of Albany in the story, and Albany is an old term for Scotland. Alba was the Scottish Gaelic name. It was called the Kingdom of Alba. So he goes out hunting one day, as men often do in these stories, and comes across the Well of Thirst, where he finds this fairy. She has a full human body, but, you know, she's a fairy, and her name is Melusine. So the two fall in love, and he immediately wants her to marry him, but she says she will, but only if, when she gives birth to their children, he does not come and see her during her lying in, like when she is in bed with them or bathing them. Later, she gives birth to triplet girls, Melusine and also Melior and Palatine. And as you probably already guessed, our dude does not listen. As soon as he hears she's given birth, he goes to the well where she is with the babies, and he walks in and sees her bathing the three fairy girls. Because of this, she takes the three girls and they flee and go live on the lost Isle of Avalon, which is from Arthurian legend, basically this hidden fairy land. As Melusine is raising the girls, she tells them from this mountaintop, oh look, that would have been your kingdom if your dad hadn't screwed up. One day, Melusine presses her for the whole story, and she says, here's how he screwed up and what he did. Well, this pisses Melusine right off, and she decides she's gonna get revenge, and she talks her two sisters into helping her. So using their fairy magic, they basically lock him with his riches inside a mountain. Even though their mom ain't too happy with him, she considers this a completely unnatural action for them to do this against their father, so she punishes them. The two lesser guilty daughters get imprisonment, one to go live with the dad in the mountain, and the other one to be in a castle in Avalon, but Melusine gets banished from Avalon, and she gets cursed to be half woman, half two-tailed snake, but only on Saturdays. Part of the curse is if she ever marries a man, as long as he never sees her in her true form on Saturdays, she will be fine. But if he does, then she's gonna be like a serpent forever and bad things will happen. And the story says that's a worse curse than the two sisters, but I mean, at least she gets to be free, and it's only on Saturdays. Here's where we get Peeping Tom number 2. Melusine does end up meeting a nobleman. She goes back to this fount of thirst, and one day this count named Raymond is traveling through the woods just like her father was, except he's sad because he just accidentally killed his uncle. They were boar hunting, and he went to stab the boar, and it went askance and got his uncle instead, so he's sad about that. So he falls in love with her. She actually says she'll help him cover up the whole uncle murder and then help build him a fortress and give him lots of riches, but if they get married, he can't ever see her on a Saturday. She has to have Saturdays all to herself. They get married, and she has 10 sons with him, but they're all weirdly deformed. One has one red eye and one gray eye, one has multiple eyes, one has a giant boar tooth protruding from his jaw, and one is just called the hairy-nosed, so I imagine he just has crazy nose hair. Now, boar tooth and hairy nose are going to be important. One day, the Count's brother convinces him to go spy on Melusine. It's like, why does she always need Saturdays to herself? Maybe she's cheating. I told you, medieval artists, they love painting Melusine with her boobs. So he creeps on her when she is in her bath and he sees she's got a serpent tail. But he does not confront her immediately. He keeps secret that he saw her and she does not know. Until one day, the boar-toothed son, for reasons we don't know, ends up burning down the abbey where the hairy-nosed son has become a monk and kills his own brother and all the monks in a fire. This enrages our Count to just absolutely blame everything on Melusine. It's all because of her, like, serpent nature that this happened. He denounces her in front of the entire court, just reveals her secret in front of everyone, says it's your fault because you're a serpent. When he does this, she automatically changes to her serpent body and either in some versions just sprouts wings like here or straight up turns into a dragon. Flies off, never to be seen again, except in the Old English version it mentions she comes back at night to nurse her two youngest children who, like, still need to nurse. This is a very common thing in folklore, that women who are partly some other animal or magical creature end up leaving husbands who break their oaths to them. I mean, as they should. She just wanted like some me time on Saturdays. German legend about Melusine, it's that a young man meets a woman who's already half snake, and if he kisses her for 3 consecutive days, he'll save her. However, each time he visits her, she becomes more snake-like and more monstrous until he finally runs away in terror without giving her the final kiss. But in this story, he marries another girl, and at their wedding, the feast is mysteriously poisoned with serpent venom, and everyone who eats it dies. Keep your promises, dudes. Also, it's interesting that these legends involve kisses freeing women because, as I've mentioned before in my fairy tale videos, that never happens in fairy tales the other way around. Disney made up Snow White being awakened with a kiss, Sleeping Beauty being awakened with a kiss, and the original or oldest versions, that never happens. In The Frog Prince, he doesn't transform into a prince when she kisses the frog, it's when she usually stabs him with a sword or throws him against a wall. But with women serpents, it works. There's a Northumbrian ballad called The Laidly Worm of Spindleton Heugh. There's a prince and a princess, and their dad marries this evil witch as their stepmom. She's jealous of her stepdaughter's beauty, so she turns her into a dragon. The prince, her brother, has been away, and when he returns, he's going to fight the dragon, but then realizes it's his sister, kisses it 3 times, and returns her to her true form. Now, I definitely like the idea of kissing dragons rather than killing them. You don't got to fight everything, guys. Embrace your nurturing side. Oh, he also then goes to the witch stepmother and touches her with a rowan tree branch, and she turns into an ugly toad forever. So, justice. Hope you enjoyed these stories of Melusine and other snake women in mythology. Check out my book, Dust Spells, which is a young adult romance, historical fiction, magic, fantasy reimagining of the Grimm brothers fairy tale, The 12 Dancing Princesses. And my podcast, Folk Tales and Fairy Lore, which often talks about mythology as well. The link is in my bio.